Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In that last video that we shot, we disassembled this 1981 Camaro door, all the internals and such. And now since I have both doors, the 72 Camaro and the 81, I have them both apart, I thought we'd take a look at the internals and look at some of the main differences between an early second gen door and a late second gen door. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on these cars. These cars are almost 50 years old, at least the early second gens are, and there's been a lot of hands into them. But I want to point out some of the differences that I've noticed between working on the two cars that I have here in the garage. If this is your first time visiting the channel, I want to invite you to subscribe. I also want to invite you to check out the playlist that we have on the 1972 Camaro called Project Overkill. Okay YouTube, we're outside here. We're at the basement of my shop area that I have here in the backyard, so you might hear the neighbors and dogs barking and such. So one of the quickest ways to identify an early second gen door from a late second gen door is going to be this area right in here where the inner door handle is. You can see here we got two threaded nuts that are welded in. This is actually for bolting of the inner door handle. So let's go in the shop area and we'll take a look at some of the different parts. So on the table here we have two different inner door handles with the corresponding pull rod that works the latch. This is the one you guys seen on the last video from the 81, and it gets riveted to the door shell. Also, it goes up through the hole here, and a special clip goes in place to lock it in. You guys seen all that on the last video. This particular inner door handle is actually one from an early door. I don't know when they changed, but I know that 70 all the way up to 74 has this. Like I said, this will attach to the inner door shell with bolts, and basically it has a clip on the rod. I believe I've got that right. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of the pictures that I have just to make sure I have that right, but I believe I do. But you can see here we definitely have different pull rods that work the latch between the early years and the later years. Something else I want to share with you on these pull rods that work the latch is the way that it's fastened to the door. Now on my 72 and on this door, it actually runs through just a plastic clamp and actually screws to the inner door shell. You'll remember on our 81 Camaro that this rubber fastener was pushed through the inside of the door right here. Now on this particular door shell, which I believe is a 70, because I found some weird things about this door that I didn't find on any others, and I'll show you a few other things on that. But still talking about the pull rods, you'll notice this cutout right here. Well, this door actually had this little clip here, and the rod actually went through it, and it was fastened to the door. If memory serves me right, it went into this opening just like this. You can see the wear marks on it. You can see the wear marks on it where the pull rod was slid back and forth. But this is just another difference that I found on these doors. Now, we already talked about the inner door handle being bolted on an early car. You'll also notice that the window regulator itself, instead of the rivets, it's actually bolted. Okay, let's talk outer door handles. This is actually the outer door handle that came off my 72 door, and this is actually the outer door handle that came off of the 81. Very similar, uses the same style clips, same rod that works the latch, best I can tell. The only difference is the handle's actually longer, maybe 6 1/4, and this one's actually 5 3/4. And you guys may remember that video I did comparing the skins. I didn't really see any difference on the actual stamping in the outer door skin, so I believe all that was the same. Let's talk about these window fuzzies. These pieces of felt on this bracket that rides against the door glass. On an early door, you only have two of these. There's one toward the back and one in the middle. Now on the late doors, you remember we had three of them. But the difference is on the front of this early door, there's just a metal bracket. And I think that has something to do with the door panel as far as latching the door panel over it. 72 was a part when I got it. It didn't have door panels on it, and I think that's what that's for. But again, it is different because the 81 had three of these window fuzzies all the way across it. So there's only two on an early door. So those window fuzzies, they just wear out, and you can see this particular one here has just bare metal contact to the window glass because it's just gone. But something that I want you to notice, and I didn't know this until I actually looked, until we actually took apart the 81 Camaro door, but this is the bracket for the early doors, and you can just see how much longer the bracket is and how much contact space you actually have for the window glass. Now this late door only had a shorter bracket. I mean, everything else still looks the same, but you can just see how much shorter the bracket actually is. So if you have one that's short like this, belongs on a late door, and then if you just have the two and it's the longer part right here, you know that's from an early Camaro door. Just something I thought I'd point out to you guys. I thought it was interesting. Alright, let's talk about door glass. I just happen to have the driver's side right here, and you can see that front window roller for the mount, rear window roller, and then that one up there is for the mount as well. So basically 5 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your typical door glass on these cars. Okay guys, this is actually the door glass that come out of that 70 model shell that I was showing you. And if you'll notice here, it's got an extra hole at the rear that has this rubber bumper in it. Also at the front, it has an extra hole that has this rubber bumper. You can see this pad here that's bolted to the inner door shell, and on my 72 I had one in the front and right here in the rear. There was 2 of them here. What that's supposed to do is when the window is rolled all the way up, those rubber bumpers are supposed to come up and ride right on this piece of cloth here and tighten the window up when it's in the up position. And the ones on my 72 look like they had never been used, and this one actually looks in really good shape as well. Now, like I said, this one here is missing. Hopefully you can see that. The hole is there, but the bumper is not installed. It may have fell out. Somebody may have took it out. I don't know. But there is one installed on this particular side, and it just looks like a plastic insert. There it is. So that's just another difference that I've noticed in the window glass. And I've got the window glass put up for my car, and you know, I never knew this until I got into these doors, so I'm really not sure what door glass I have, whether it has those or whether it doesn't. Evidently it must have not have really been needed because GM did away with it on the later years. Something else that I wanted to share with you that's kind of different between that 70 door and any other door that I've ever worked on. This is the front window tracks. You can see this piece of felt here that the door glass would sit on. This may be why they did away with it, because on this 70 you can see it's non-existent. It doesn't have it. So this particular piece here may have caused them to do away with the extra holes in the glass. I'm not real sure. Just thinking out loud on that, guys. So if you see this particular one, then I would say it definitely has to have those rubber bumpers in the glass versus this style. Okay guys, we're wrapping this video up. Back up here in the garage, a few other things I thought we would mention. The bullet mirrors for these cars, there is a slight difference to the brackets and to the bases of the mirror from what I can see. And I think I'm going to do a totally separate video on mirrors because I've had some trouble with mine and it's been quite confusing. So I think I'm going to dedicate one short video just to mirrors. And then there's one other thing that I just happened to notice and I want to share it with you. On a 72 door, at the very top where the skin meets the inner structure there, you see those cutouts right there where the weather stripping would go, the window felts. And you notice all the way down there's an attachment for that piece of weather strip. All the way to the end. Right there. Now on this 81, you see it still has the provisions for that bracket with the pads that I was showing you. But you'll notice here the cutouts, this one's solid. And we come down, this one's solid. And then it's got them the rest of the way. So just one other difference that I could see. So maybe if you're trying to look at a door and you're trying to figure out if it's an early or late door, if you don't see a mounting point at the very top all the way across here, then you know it's probably a late door. Again, the telltale sign for me is this area right here for the inner door handle. So guys, those are the differences that I have noticed between working on Project Overkill's doors and Project Fast Time's doors, and just some of the other various doors that I've taken apart over the years with the different parts and different configurations, things like that. So I hope you found this video informational and I hope you found it useful. Now coming up, I am going to be doing a video on the door mirrors. I'll show you what I've got going on with that. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you kind of know what I've been doing. I've actually been restoring the internal door parts that we pulled off of this passenger door, and I've about got Overkill's all the way restored. I've got a few little things to work out on it. Also, I'm working on getting the lock sets right, making sure that I've got the right keys and that they're properly working and they're restored as well. And I've also dug into the glove box lock for that, since it is the same key. I want to appreciate everybody sticking with me on all these door videos. I know this stuff is kind of boring and you guys are probably tired of seeing videos on doors, but it's a big part of the car. I mean, it's probably 25% of the car when you really think about these F-bodies, because the doors are so massive and so many parts inside of them. But we're going to get through it, and got some interesting things to get to once we get back on Project Overkill, and I'm looking forward to it. So with that said, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.